professor kissed me and I don't know what to do. So, I am a 24F who just finished her master's. My program involves a third-year teaching fellowship following the completion of the degree, so while I'm technically no longer a student, I'm still in the program and am now an employee of my school. This summer, I've been working at an academic summer camp on a different campus, and one of my graduate school professors, we'll call him John, he's a 67M, also lives here year-round. He just flies to the city where he teaches every week. An expensive and senseless commute, but anyway, I ran into him in town last week and he said if I had a day off we should get together for dinner. I immediately accepted. I've had dinner alone with John twice before, as he always takes out the grad students one-on-one. As first years, my female friends and I initially found his invitations strange, but we ultimately decided he was harmless. We'd all been out with him alone and nothing strange had ever happened. He's a very talkative guy who usually spent the first 20 minutes of class asking us about our lives, so we decided he was just really friendly. So a few nights ago we had dinner. It was fine, same as usual. He asked a few questions about my summer but mostly talked about himself. He's always been this way, a bit self-obsessed and so garrulous it's hard to get a word in during conversation. We mostly talked about the grad program and our respective summer travels abroad. Innocent conversation, nothing weird. When we left, we walked down the sidewalk together until we had to go in different directions. I thanked him for dinner, moved to turn around, and he surprised me by pulling me into a hug and giving me a long, loud kiss on the cheek. At first I thought it was kind of funny, maybe just a European affectation he decided to use since we'd been talking about travel, but after a few minutes I began to feel kind of grossed out. I'm not especially close to this professor. I had 2 classes with him and that's it. I tried to imagine this scenario with different people, with one of my other male professors or with me and one of my male students, and it seemed to me that what happened was wildly inappropriate. John has never done anything like that in the city where our university is, not to me or any of the girls in my cohort, so I feel like being far away made him bold. He knew no one else was around and he could get away with crossing some boundaries. Am I overthinking this? Was he just saying goodbye? I've certainly had people kiss me on the cheek as a greeting, but they've all been older females and it's always been just a quick peck, never a loud wet smooch. And it's usually not embarrassing. There were people around and as I walked away they definitely gave me weird looks. My friends in my cohort said John definitely crossed a line and that if I want to reach out to him and say what he did was not okay, that would be totally reasonable. My mom, who can sometimes have old-fashioned attitudes about assault and harassment, was 100% on my side and said he was taking advantage of me. So, I'm not sure where to go from here. If my program were actually over, I'd just let it go, but I'm going to be teaching there another year and will be around this professor at department events. I'll definitely see him less than usual, but that's not the point. Our program is predominantly female, and I can't help but wonder if I ought to say something to somebody else in power. But then I'd feel embarrassed. It's not like he did anything overtly sexual. But at the same time I've been working through some childhood sexual abuse stuff this past year and am at a point where anyone even touching me is upsetting. Obviously John couldn't have known this, but I'm worried that if I complain and say I was genuinely upset by this incident, that whoever handles the incident will want to know why I was so upset by what could have just been an overly zealous goodbye. I have no idea what to do. I've felt nauseated ever since it happened and the more I think about it, the madder I get. If anyone has any advice, please let me know. Edit. Want to make it clear that before this incident, the professor had not ever hugged me before, so that wasn't something we ever did. Another edit. I won't be back on campus until late August. Heard back from my Title IX office the other day, and they said they're shutting down the investigation because they talked to my professor, and he said he intended the kiss to be friendly rather than sexual. As if that actually matters. The fact is, regardless of intent, he did something no normal person would do to a student or coworker 40 years younger than him, and he's getting away with it. I politely explained to the office that I thought their decision was ridiculous, and in the same email I asked if the no-contact order between my professor and me still stands. Apparently it doesn't, and the Title IX office completely ignored the other part of my email. I guess I expected at least a half-hearted investigation or a light slap on the wrist. Something to keep up the pretense that my fancy fucking school gives a shit about its students. Now I get to spend the next year either avoiding this guy at department events or making extremely uncomfortable small talk. Since the department chair knows about the so-called investigation and is friends with the rest of our faculty, one of whom got chased out of his last university for sexually harassing female students. I have to wonder if I've been gossiped about and how much everybody on faculty knows and what they think of me. Not that any of this matters since the Title IX office decided my professor's actions weren't dire enough to create a hostile work environment. Maybe I'm overreacting. I don't know. I guess I'm wondering if I should just let it go or if I should demand to be taken seriously.